Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fagan, let's start with you. When you and I sat down and met, you emphasized the UN-led political process. This week, the UN Security Council approved a resolution which designates the Houthi militia as a terrorist organization, making it subject to sanctions, along with renewing asset freezes and travel bans and extending the arms embargo. This is a significant development, to say the least. What signal does this send when the United Nations Security Council is acting upon a stronger and more unified message against terrorism, while one of Biden's first moves in office was to remove the Houthis as a designated terrorist group?
Senator, thank you for the question. And as I noted in my opening remarks, I share your concerns about the Houthis' deplorable actions, their terrorist attacks using ballistic missile and drone technology against the UAE and Saudi Arabia. As the president has said, the issue of a possible designation of the Houthis as an FTO is under review by the administration. My understanding is that that review is considering the anticipated impact of such a designation on the behavior of the Houthis, as well as the anticipated impact on the humanitarian situation.
Well, Mr. Fagan, I can say we can assess the impact so far, and it's been disastrous. The Biden administration ostentatiously made it a week one priority to undo terrorism sanctions on the Iran-controlled Houthis. On January 25th, just 5 days into the administration, they approved all transactions involving the Houthis for a month. On January 27th, in his first appearance in the press room, Secretary Blinken said he was, quote, particularly focused on the question of undoing the terrorism designations. On February 5th, the State Department announced they would be delisting those sanctions. And we know what happened next. That very weekend, the Houthis launched missiles at civilians in the city of Marib, signaling the beginning of an offensive that would become a bloodbath, and they launched armed drones into Saudi Arabia. After a year of such relentless terrorism, the Biden administration reluctantly announced that it was imposing some terrorism sanctions on the Houthis, but not yet reversing their decision. Let me ask you a question I asked you in my office. Do you believe the Houthis are terrorists?
Well, Senator, as I noted, the Biden administration has condemned the Houthis' terrorist attacks on Saudi Arabia and the UAE using ballistic missiles and drones.
Okay, let me try that question again. Do you believe the Houthis are terrorists?
Senator, as I said, the Biden administration has condemned the Houthis' terrorist attacks. And as I said as well...
Yeah, I have to say, you said that in my office also. You said they commit terrorist attacks, but you were unwilling to say they're terrorists. Explain to me how exactly that works, like how people who commit terrorist attacks are not terrorists.
Senator, let me just say again that the issue of an FTO designation is under review by the administration.
How many terrorist attacks do they have to commit before you'll admit they're terrorists?
Senator, the administration has condemned the Houthis for their terrorist attacks on Saudi Arabia and the UAE.
Except the administration is unwilling to acknowledge the obvious that they're terrorists. Is one terrorist attack enough? Is 10? Is 100 terrorist attack? I just want to know, how many civilians do the Houthis need to murder before the Biden administration will acknowledge the obvious, which is that they're terrorists?
Yeah. Senator, I deeply share your concerns about the Houthis. The Houthis have committed some deplorable acts. Not only these attacks on the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which threaten our own citizens there. We have 130,000 citizens, or more than that, residing in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. The Houthis currently have in detention 13 current and former members
All right,
staff.
let me ask one final question, both to you, Mr. Fagan, and to you, Ms. Romanowski. In my opening remarks, I discussed my profound concerns with this administration's foolhardy Iran deal. The basis of that deal is that Iran, the Ayatollah and the mullahs, will be flooded with hundreds of billions of dollars in immediate resources from sanctions relief. Based on both of your assessments of Yemen and Iraq, respectively, and as a matter of your professional expertise in the region, do you believe that if the Iranian regime receives hundreds of billions of dollars, that that money will go to finance terrorism in Yemen and in Iraq? Mr. Fagan, you can start.
Senator Cruz, thank you for the question. Again, I share your concerns about the malign activities of the Iranian regime, but that is a speculative question.
I'm asking your professional judgment, and this judgment goes to your competence in terms of whether you should be confirmed to this post. Yeah. Based on the behavior of Iran, do you believe if they get hundreds of billions of dollars, they will use that to fund terrorism? And I'd like a yes or no based on your professional judgment.
Again, Senator, it's unfortunately a speculative question because there isn't a deal.
I'm asking for your judgment.
I can certainly say that the Iranians will not use funds for the betterment of their people.
Ms. Romanowski?
Senator, thank you for the question. I also share your concerns with Iran's malign activity and role in the region. Iran remains a primary enduring threat to both Iraq and the region. It has increasingly sophisticated military capabilities, so supports broad proxy networks, and it has demonstrated that it periodically is willing to use force against U.S. allies. The Biden-Harris administration has determined that getting back into the JCPOA is the best way.
Ms. Romanowski, you're reading a statement. I just am asking, will you answer the question? Do you believe, based on your professional judgment, they will use hundreds of billions of dollars to finance terrorism? Yes or no?
Well, first of all, I am not privy to any of the negotiations that are going on. But it is very clear in the Iranian history that they have used their resources and their funding that they can get to finance their proxy networks and to continue to spread their malign activities across the region.
Thank you.